Merry Christmas, I guess, everyone.
Yeah, boy.
Stop hassling me. The halfway point in the season's here. Sort of. I mean, we have got games next week, but do they count? Yes, but it's also a strange little weird week where there's only 3 games. So obviously some things have happened this week that there are some divisions that look a bit more locked up, but obviously there's a lot more that are very much out in the world. SJ's not here. I'm currently inside because Storm Darren or whatever has wrecked the shed. So there you go. That's why I'm inside. How are you two?
I'm good. I found a lamp, so I don't look like I'm in darkness anymore.
You are still currently sat on the floor, though, which is...
There's not much room for a chair. Yeah.
I will say that at least Cam has got like a better haircut this week. I mean, I can't say that I have. But
I'm waiting till I'm back until I land back at the motherland.
when
Do they
are you
not have
due-
like?
I fly back on Friday.
Oh, that's not bad
Look
then.
at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we could do a live rundown. We're not gonna, but we could do.
No, I back it. I back it. Live rundown hosted straight from QNBL and 3.2 star university.
Well, we're going to talk about QMBL. Dylan saying bring back the shed. Dylan, there's a hole in the shed. There's holes in the shed. I can't do it from the shed. If I could be in the shed, I could do it from the shed, but you'd hear outside as well. And my neighbours would just hear me talking about Uniball and think I was going mental. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Which I was up in Preston yesterday, managed to survive.
God rest his soul.
Have you
But-
got your bare legs out?
No, I've got shorts on. But like how I'm sat is there. It's like it looks like I have got my bare legs out. It's time. It's time for the hot tub stream. There's a hot tub somewhere in this room, ready for Christmas. But yeah, so it has gone very, very quickly. I mean, it's been a very, very good Uniball season. I don't think that can be denied, especially with everything happening in the National Premiership. Obviously, starting off with week 2 and Gold beating Bullets, basically set. You live streamed from a hole yesterday, mate. Yeah. Actually, even so, Dylan was my co-commentator versus Northumbria versus UClan, and he was like, "Wow, this facility is really nice." So I don't know what he's talking about. He's talking nonsense, and he did give me a Harriet bobble somewhere, but which I will actually wear. So, no, Callum, I'm not going to have opinions on Storm Darrah's effect on Eastern European economies. I don't know much. I just know its impact on my shed. That's all I know. That's all I know. So we're going to get into the scores. 3 games this week from D1 and 1 D2, and I'm streaming one of them. So make of that what you will. So starting off in the National Prem, Nottingham Gold beat Loughborough 35-0. Durham versus UE called off because of the weather. I'm just not going to go through every game that was called off because you know why it was. In the Scottish one, Edinburgh Napier take a commanding lead of the Scottish one, beating Stirling 28-13. Northern one, the Tyrants, realistically seal the fate of the LGMU Fury, 60-22 over them. And we'll get into it. UClan beat Northumbria 14-3. But okay, well done, Jamie. 14-3. I don't know why he's done that. But that's a bit interesting because it's not just a simple Teb's clean my kitchen. Yeah, that's fair enough. He's right. He's definitely right. We'll get into it. Sheffield Hallam smashed the Hull Sharks 45-0. Again, not looking great for Hull. Nottingham Green, again, another short score game over the Coventry Jets 6-0. Brunel, another worrying scoreline for them, only beating Reading by 8. Brighton and Hertfordshire have a pretty decent battle there. I think Brighton are looking pretty decent. Still not winning a game apart from their first one against Reading, 8-14 over the Hurricanes over the Panthers. Bristol beat Swansea 19-2. Swansea, again, another one of those teams like Hull, looking a bit dicey. KCL get a walkover against the Essex Blades. Again, I think it's easy to sort of say what teams are looking a bit relegation worthy more so than anything, because Essex, Hull, Swansea, LJMU, and who in the south? Oh, Southern,
Leeds
well,
Beckett.
Reading, or Leeds. We don't really have to say Leeds Beckett. I think that's sort of implied.
Just assumed.
Same with Liverpool as well. Like, at least in the Premiership South, you know, there's a little bit of grey area. But I think we'll go into it. We'll go into it. And the UCL Emperors pull off a big victory, pretty shock victory. I'm aware you're back. I'm not going to bring you in until I finish. UCL pull up. I'd argue it's a bit of a shock victory. We all had Kent winning that. They beat Kent 18-6 in D2. Derby shut out Lincoln 31-0. Surrey Stingers, another not a massive shock, but Oxford Brooks take control of the division 14-6. Worcester beat Bath Spa 22-0. Worcester, you know, they're on. You know, could we see playoff Worcester? It's an actual question we could talk about now. You've said at the start of the year, we wouldn't have believed you. And Greenwich put good performance 14-8 over Imperial. So that's this week. So I'm going to bring Jamie back in.
Releasing.
Well, I think we should get into like one part of that, and that's relegation. Who's cause it's looking pretty clear about who's the favourites to go down. If we're looking at the Prem North, it's looking like Liverpool, which realistically at the start of the season, if you were going to pinpoint a team that was to be relegated, you know, a lot of people say Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Tabs, by the way, your microphone's playing up a little bit.
Yeah. You're slowly getting quieter.
Yeah. But we all called it at the beginning of the season and then got ridiculed, and not by anyone on the show, by Liverpool themselves. And I said it from the start, they didn't deserve to be in there. They were going to get exposed. Like, yes, obviously they're not going to say no. That's not me saying they should have gone, oh no. But they were like 17th choice to go into the Prem. Like, they didn't deserve it. It was only going to go one way, and exactly what we thought was going to happen happened.
Yeah, they've had their little season in the Prem. It's very obviously not there to last, though, is it?
Can you hear me at all?
There you go. You're
Yes.
good now.
Yeah. You're good now.
It's one of those things where, like, at the start of the season, I think just with the momentum that Liverpool had, like, I'd still argue their season last year, there's still momentum to be built on that. They would have had a better season in the Prem, or at least have some better flashes, but it's just hasn't really happened for them.
But they didn't do well. They didn't do brilliantly last year.
No, exactly.
This is what I
Like-
mean. I'm not out here saying, oh my god, look how good Liverpool were last year. But it's like after their sort of massive endeavour to get up to D1 in the first place, winning D2 North back to back, you know, that has to give some level of momentum, even though you have just jumped straight up into the Prem. But obviously, you know, it's the big thing is there are divisions, there are levels to this for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like jumping over everyone, hasn't really done it, because you could argue that, you know, both Leeds and NTU, they hadn't really jumped it. Like Leeds were up there, came back down, but Leeds obviously going further in the playoffs. You know, arguably you could argue that Warwick potentially jumped as well, but you know, given that Warwick have had wins over NTU and Liverpool and Newcastle, but Warwick deserve to be there as well now. But not too much of a surprise that Liverpool will be coming down, and Liverpool, you know, dependent on who goes up from the Northern three, they could be going into a real hectic division if, you know, Northumbria and UClan are still there. Potentially the Tyrants are going to be bouncing back, but realistically, they're going to be the only Liverpool. Well, no, unless Edge Hill. I was going to say only Liverpool-based team, but Edge Hill could go up as well. So, if we're going into the relegation from Scotland, but if we're going into the North, LJMU. Not looking good for them, especially after this, you know, big loss to the Tyrants, who after their walkover, also in a bit of a sticky situation. I think it's a shame. Like LGMU, I had them as a breakout team last year, and they just haven't been able to capitalize on the season that they had 2 years ago. You see, for me, it's a shame, but I think more so credit has to go to the MMU Eagles and they've managed to bounce back and put up some pretty impressive numbers. And given the amount of points that Northumbria and UClan have put on the Tyrants and the walkover that the Tyrants gave to Mustangs, MMU are that third place team now, which I think's pretty decent for them.
Yeah, after how they started, they could have capitulated, and I think they probably did also look at LJMU and go, "We can't end up like that." That's no disrespect to LJMU, the fall off that they've had from 2 seasons ago. Obviously, they weren't great last year, but they still kind of held their own and didn't look like they were going to get absolutely annihilated every week. And then they've lost some names, and obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but they've gone from being like not just like a meme team, but also really good to just a meme team, but without the
Yeah.
TikToks.
It's one of these things where, like, in an act of sheer ego and pure disgusting hubris, on my way up to Preston, I decided to listen to, because used to put the rundown on Spotify. I listened to some episodes that we did, including the one that Jamie did when he was part of the whole Sharks, and talking about LJMU. They were seen as the team with their social media as like a goal team. Can we sort of get to LJMU's playing well and great social media presence? And both of those things have just fallen off for them. So I'm not saying
your mic's died again.
Has it?
No, it's fixed again. It's whenever you
back.
lean on it in the wrong direction.
Okay, I'll just sit up straight then. But yeah, that's what I find interesting about LJMU, and it's a shame because it's not looking healthy for them at all. Now, if we move on to the Midlands, I mean, if you look at the score from Coventry versus Nottingham Green, who are in the lead 6-0 against the Jets, I think that galvanizes the position that, like, it's Hull Sharks' time to go down. Do you not think?
Yeah, I mean, writing's kind of on the wall there. With that kind of loss to Sheffield, there's not really anywhere to go from there.
Because it's one of those things where, like, their biggest competition is Coventry, and I think that I just think that Coventry, as much as it's a loss for them, and the 2-game win streak is at an end, but Coventry are looking strong. They've got that extra win, and it's now a much bigger uphill climb for the Sharks.
I still think the Jets.
I can't see Hull winning 2 games. Is the thing. Is that and I did firmly believe it after the Cov game that I thought they're both going to win 1 game. They'll win 1 apiece, and Hull will stay up on the basis that they'll beat them in the return. I don't see them winning 2 games. I don't see them winning 1. And it is a shame. I know that they were looking very positive, and yeah, I'm trying to not shit on people, especially whilst in a call with 2 Lincoln old boys. 2 Lincoln.
Well, there you go. You're an old boy now, Cam, mate. Your season's done.
Yeah, fair enough. Might as well be. So,
but what will be nice though is, and I'm like, I can't not have the last word. Is it will be nice for Lincoln to finally turn up, because he can't get away from it not being in being in the same division. He can't say, "Oh no, we're not playing anymore," because it's just varsity. So
we'll find a way.
So moving on to, like, the Southern, we're looking at 45-0, but it could have gone either way. That's very funny. But moving on to, like, the Southeast, it wasn't looking great for Essex anyway. But now having a walkover against KCL, for me, like, that is fully the nail in the coffin for the Blades.
Yeah, you're already doing terribly, and then you go and basically put on negative points. Like, there's not really any situation where they come back from this.
It's one of those things where, like, SJ talks about the curse of the Southeast, with Imperial winning the league and then being relegated the next season. Essex won the league 2 years ago. QMBL went down last year, but it was close between them, and now it's Essex's time. It doesn't really strike me as much of a surprise that Essex are going down, but it just feels like they've accepted it now, especially when, like, UCLB and Kent that really throws a spanner in the works of like those are 4 good teams now: Kent, UCL, UEA, and KCL. That's a good division, and Essex just doesn't seem like they can compete with that.
Yeah, they're the odd ones out in that division, like very clearly.
And even if we go into the Southern, you look at Brighton's performance against Brunel last week, 11-8, and then 4 points separating them between them and Hertfordshire. You know, it's one of these things where I don't feel as though we're sleeping on Brighton. I think Brighton are just surrounded by these big teams, and it's sort of like what I said last week, that Brighton's biggest game is against the Lancers, and it's just yet to happen. Obviously, it was postponed due to the weather, but that's their big game, because they win that, you know, they're safe. But as it stands right now, Brighton is still within that relegation zone, because they only beat Reading by 4, which is 6-2, I think.
I still don't think they lose to Reading in the reverse fixture. I don't, you know, with their performances against.
Time out.
Yeah.
So this is going on to what Jamie's nickname is. QML Viper saying. So what you're saying is we should replace Essex. You're second in that div.
You're not even top. you can't replace a team when you're not even winning your division.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that QMBL are like, you know, really, really happy and gung ho with their season and everything. But, you know, are we forgetting that the Kingston Cougars exist? Like, you can't just forget that, you know, Kingston are looking like they're going to be promoted. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
They're really the way that they're conducting themselves over the last week or two is really showing why they're a 3.2-star university. Like, they're just so odd. Like, and no one's listening and no one's reacting because no one cares. And it's like they're not like getting chirpy and arguing with people. They're just commenting on things, and people like, just who are you?
But
Like,
this is like
stop.
they've commented again, like, now, but Kingston will lose to Canterbury. But the thing is, Kingston can lose to Canterbury and still win the division. Like,
Yeah.
like you're going to need Kingston to lose both of their games. And I believe, like, to be fair, could they lose to Greenwich, especially after, you know, Greenwich beat Imperial? Greenwich are looking a bit of a, you know, a
I
better.
still don't think they lose to Greenwich though. Like,
Well,
I think it is.
This is it, right? Is that, like, even if they lose to Greenwich, I think they've already beaten Greenwich once. So, dependent on the scoreline, it's fine. But they're definitely not going to be losing to, like, they're not going to be losing to Canterbury. Like, let's be honest. But
That's not going to happen.
Again, don't get me wrong. I love the confidence, but, like, you know, you can't say that you're going up when, you know, as it stands right now, you're probably not. And, like, that's why I think that, you know, Kingston, they lose to Greenwich. I don't think that they do.
Just want to say hello to John Sport Tank.
No, I don't want to say.
Come on, let's get John on the show.
Pleasure to have John Sport Tank in the chat. It's quite a good one.
So we've away from Brighton, moving on to the southwest. You know, like the southwest is obviously a very, very strange, the strangest division. There's always one that's a bit chaotic. Last year it was Scotland, or the Scottish div. Right now it's southwest, and, you know, Swansea still, you know, I'm very, very surprised that Swansea are back in the position that they are after, you know, dropping back down, making it to the final, losing to Brighton, but being in the position again for relegation. Oh, I didn't see it coming. I really, really didn't see it coming.
That's what happens though when you score 2 points per game. Like, a safety every game is really nice, but
you say that, but who won with it? Who won because of a safety? It was like 2-0. It was Bath, and
that's stupid game.
Like this is it, right? It's very, very strange, but I wouldn't have had Swansea to be relegated. I really, really wouldn't. You know, like, it was looking like Bristol were potentially the team to go down, but
didn't someone have them to win the division at the beginning of the season?
Someone's got them to win the division. I forget who it is. Probably Dylan.
It might have been me.
We'll go back and check. But
I get the feeling it was you. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been me.
Because
It's
I
the
don't think
South. I
you
don't
went.
care. Like
I
it's
But
don't
the
think you
South.
went
I just
for
pick
Bournemouth.
random names.
the person I feel bad is like Brandon Fields, who was their QB last year. Like came in, got them promoted, and I was like, okay, they had a great quarterback, but they'll be able to capitulate it the next season into staying up. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think they were going to win. I think it was Bournemouth's before it was anyone else's. But I just can't believe that Swansea are in the position that they're in. I really, really can't. I really, really can't. Like, I don't know. It's the Southwest, but yeah, in terms of relegation, it seems more clear than promotions now. Anyway,
Yeah.
but if we get into some of the results from this week that were a bit surprising, going straight to the Southern 2, OBU beating Surrey. Surrey were, up there in terms of potentially going back up to D1, but obviously not a huge score that we've seen from Oxford Brookes, but a great score, 14-6. OBU now have control of the Southern. Their next big test is the 9th of February against Sussex. They get through, I think, that dependent, obviously, but that's looking like will be who gets promoted. Which
I
is
mean,
surprising to me.
I get the feeling it's OBU's division now.
Oh, 100%.
Just, I don't see a world where it kind of isn't.
No, like not with the sort of momentum that Surrey had coming into it. But Sussex, their defense was great last year, but their offense wasn't as much. But they're proving that their offense has grown and evolved. But in terms of it, I completely agree that OBU have got it in the palm of their hand now, and I'd be very hard pressed to let it go. Obviously, in the southeast, as much as QMBL want it to be, it's still Kingston there. The southwest, on the other hand, obviously having lots of games cancelled due to being on the coast and being affected by the storm. It's still Plymouth's, but for me, it feels like Plymouth haven't played in so long. I feel like we're just forgetting about the southwest. Like after they beat the Bullets, Glad's fall, Worcester, looking fairly decent, but beating Glads and beating Bath Spa. Basically, do you think Worcester's a contender? Is there enough evidence now to say that Worcester could be contending for promotion back to D1?
Not for promotion. I think playoffs.
I completely agree. Like the Glads team, we haven't seen anything else out of Gloucestershire yet because of postponements and things like that. They were supposed to face Aberystwyth this week, but Aberystwyth weren't allowed to travel. And also the postponement of UE getting postponed to this weekend. We haven't seen much of them. Gloucestershire last year lost to Aberystwyth in the first game, still made the playoffs. But, it's looking a bit tricky. Can we really say, Bath Spa, not really much. But, when Worcester come around to playing Plymouth and UE2s and even Aberystwyth, no, they've already played Aberystwyth and lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think you're right. But to be fair, even a playoff spot for Worcester at this point is a great result. But
Yeah.
For me, it's still like that game just because of the Gloucestershire's lost to Worcester. It's still Plymouth and Aberystwyth in the southwest. But I feel bad for them because basically everyone in that division's second half of the season is going to be chocker, especially with ABBA. ABBA's is mental now because they've had the postponement for UE because someone forgot kit or something, and then also for Gloucestershire. So. Mental for Aberystwyth, but if they can pull it off, then I'd love to see Aberystwyth in D1. I think that'd be really funny.
Or making teams travel all the way there.
Yeah, especially because they're in the southwest when they used to be in the northern 2. So
stick them in the Midlands division next year.
Stick them in the Midlands. Why not? That's where they put everyone else. But promotion-wise, what D2? So I think as it's the northwest is still Lancaster, Edgehill, and Staffordshire. Keele are the only one that's not really contending right now. Northeast is Sheffield, but they have got a rematch with York, which
they'll still win that.
I think they will as well. And then the Midlands, as much as Cam may not want to hear this, that win over.
It's not really you can't really deny it now, can you?
No, it's it's taken them a while, but it looks as though Derby are
Can we go back to the claim from Cam from the week where he said that Lincoln are a top 10 Div 2 side? Because like this needs airing out live on stream.
I could give you the top 10 if you like.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I see it every week, and the comment section
Okay.
yells at you no matter what you say.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, like the rankings for this week, not so much D2, but D1's going to be such a stress because, like, okay, you kind of beaten Northumbria, but Northumbria, they still have the North in their hand. I'll get into that next, but
Yeah.
Brunella looking shaky. But basically, my question is, who am I going to put first? Am I going to put KCL first, or am I going to put Edinburgh Napier? Because
You're
those
going
are
to
the
put. Ooh.
No,
Well,
I
then it
still
becomes
think I still think it goes to Northumbria just because they've taken a loss. They've taken a loss when their starting QB wasn't playing, and they've lost to arguably potentially the second place in that division, like in Div 1. Like so,
no,
it's not like they've gone and lost to some shitters. They've lost in what felt watching it of to be like a quite a tactical game of in
yeah.
the second half. It felt like they knew they
Yeah.
weren't going to win it at that point because of different reasons, because of the injuries, because of whatever. So it felt like let's keep the score down and go and get 3 points and then kill the game. And
I actually agree with
yeah,
Jamie. I think just because they've lost to a top team, it doesn't suddenly shoot
yeah.
them down the
No,
rankings.
like it's still like I I think that they're going to meet again this year, and it's going to be for some very very high stakes. But the team that's sort of messing that up slightly, and as much as this is completely counting out the Midlands one, I don't really feel too bad about that, considering that the first place team currently in Nottingham Green only beat Coventry, who Coventry aren't the worst team in D1 anymore, right? But
Woo!
no, they're not. Like they're just not. Like I'd argue if they just beaten Hull, they could potentially say that. Sorry, but they beat Leicester as well. So Coventry aren't.
Yeah.
But Coventry still aren't a elite D1 side, and only beating them by 6 when you're Notts Green and Nottingham Green, you could argue are one of the more put together programs in the country.
Oh yeah.
For me, I think the Midlands, they're not going to do much in the playoffs. Sorry, and that goes to Hallam as well. But like the people messing it up are the Scottish divs, mainly Napier, are looking fairly scary at the minute. So, yeah. So I'll get into Northumbria versus UClan again. I'm happy that I went, and it was one of those things where someone came up to me, one of the UClan players came up to me and went, "Aaron O'Coin's in a walking boot," and I was like, "Unbelievable." And I was even speaking to Aaron, and he was like, I was tempted to message Sports. I could be like, just to let you know, I'm not playing. I'm like, look, come on. But, a very, very tactical game. And if you've gone back and watched the ending of that game, and when the final whistle blew, there was no cheers from either side. Obviously, Northumbria had just lost. And because of the field goal from the Mustangs, they needed to beat UClan. Sorry, UClan needed to beat them by 14 to take playoff or home field advantage in the playoffs in the Northern One. But they
As
didn't.
long as they don't lose or draw another game.
But this is it, right? But then you could argue that the Tyrants were the biggest challenge to them. They've beaten the Tyrants twice, once by walkover. So realistically, and then like LJMU's not going to pose a threat to either of them. It really just comes down to Northumbria versus MMU. Like unless MMU can pull something out, it's going to be going the way of the Mustangs.
No, I think it's Northumbria's division now. To be honest.
Yeah, but like when you say it's someone's division, like UClan is still that like UClan still are still really really good and are going to cause some problems in the postseason.
Well, yeah, but regular season.
But regular season is theirs. Like I might as well create the graphic now. But I think moving on to the Scottish division, Edinburgh Napier are just doing bits. Like I'm not surprised they've been poised to break out for years and they've just not managed it. But they've controlled the division very well. And there's still, Heriot Watt are still fairly decent at 2-2, and the Mavericks are looking slightly less stable than Heriot Watt, and Glasgow's still there. Again, Aberdeen are not looking. Aberdeen are the only ones that you could argue are not a contender. to the point where when it comes to the playoffs, a division that's going to have 3, I'd argue, is probably going to be Scotland.
Yeah, I can easily see Scotland taking one away from the Midlands, for example.
Yeah, and like in the Southern, I think it's going to be the Southeast because
Yeah.
I'm a bit unsure of Oxford now, from their losses to Brunel and to Hertfordshire.
Mhm.
Again, going back to that Oxford versus Brighton game being, pretty important for both sides. But I mean that's sort of it. I mean that's sort of it in terms of this week, unless anyone's got anything else to discuss.
No.
I'm still waiting, and it might have happened this season, but I'm still waiting to see a Reading graphic where they've scored points, or scored more
They
than 6 points. I'm yet to see it, and I might have missed it, but I swear, in my whole life since not realizing they exist, I don't think they've ever scored more than 1 set of points in a game.
Okay,
play
but
good defensive football.
right, okay. I'm gonna do hypotheticals. Who wins, Swansea or Reading, right now?
Reading.
You think Reading wins? Okay.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it could be a 0-0.
Yeah, no,
Like-
2-2. 2-2. They both get safeties.
Christ. And that's a good scoreline. I'm trying to think of any more.
4-2 or something, like proper scorigami kind of shit. It's like 2 safeties for Swansea, 1 safety for Reading. Like,
3-2 field goal and a safety.
I've never seen a team for so long just have no offense at all. And I was at the Sharks for 4 years, and we couldn't score points, but we still scored more points than them.
Okay. Then what about Hull versus LJMU? Who's winning that one
This year,
this year? I think LJMU take that personally.
How
Proper.
many points have LJMU scored this season?
They've scored some.
no. So Hull had that game against Leicester that make it.
Yeah,
Look like
that's what I'm
they
thinking.
could still pull something out against shitters.
Yeah.
I think Hull probably take it in like an 8-7 win.
8. Yeah, fair
I've
enough.
got no clue. I got no clue there.
I'm trying to think of some.
It'd be like the Leicester game.
Okay, what about Hull versus Aberdeen? What are we thinking?
Oh,
Come on now, let's not be silly.
I think Hull take that. Hull take that. Trying to think of one more. Essex versus Swansea. I'd probably give that to
go
Essex.
ahead and gets walked over.
Gets walked over. Yeah. God. Okay, so let's cast our mind forward into the playoffs. Has anyone's divisional winners changed? Has anyone's potentially? Oh, mine has. So I said this, that I was gonna put out a Portsmouth bombshell, Portsmouth prediction. I think Portsmouth play in the National Premiership next year.
I mean, after hearing your reasoning pre-show, obviously,
Yeah,
I've got to agree with it.
yeah.
I think you're chatting out your ass.
I think Portsmouth
He's
play in the
not
National Premiership next year. I've made my decision now. I think Portsmouth are the second best team in the Premiership. The whole of it. That obviously Leeds and NTU in that as well. I think Portsmouth are the second best team.
I don't think they're better than NTU.
I think the final for the Prem. I think the Prem final is going to be SGS versus Portsmouth.
Are you bonkers?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I still stand by Exeter are going to beat Portsmouth.
Yeah, that game was called off, mate, because of the wind.
Yeah, I know, but like Exeter have hit a bit of form. Like, we seem to be counting them out because they had a poor start, but now that they're hitting it, they're not doing as well as last year, but they've had a step up in opposition. They're still defensively pretty solid.
Portsmouth are not better than Leeds and NTU.
You're chatting out your ass. They're definitely not better than SGS.
Well,
no, that's not what he's saying.
No, he's saying second out of what the collection of them.
Yeah.
And to say that they'll be in the Prem is saying that they're better than SGS.
It's not.
No, I don't think that's. Yeah.
It's not.
Are you saying this because you think 2 teams are getting relegated by any chance?
No. I don't. Yeah, well, we look at last year.
Yeah,
He,
that's
he definitely thinks there's a voluntary relegation coming, and he definitely thinks that someone's taking that position.
I don't. I don't at all think that. Look at last year. SGS got asked to go up. What did they say? What did they say? They're not there. I think SGS win it, but I think Portsmouth are going to take it. Form surely resets after Christmas. I'd argue that there are some teams that form will increase because they're going to get some more people in. There's obviously people coming for
Masters.
January
I
start.
don't I don't think, and it might be because no one really cares. I don't think we've ever spoken enough about the fall off of Newcastle. Like,
Okay, let's do it.
because
Yeah,
obviously they were in our division. They stuffed us when they went up. They had the American O lineman. They were better than Leeds when we played Leeds. Like, they were unreal as a team. And then they went up and they looked really good. And then all of a sudden, they're just shit.
I think you can kind of attribute it to the fact that Northumbria is a better uni than Newcastle in general now. So if you go into uni in that area, you're not.
I
You're
think a
probably
large
going to pick
amount of it might have
Northumbria.
been to do with the coaching change. I think
Yeah,
when they brought the new coach, and I don't think it worked, and then they
I think,
kind of, I don't
think
know.
it's,
This is
it's been,
surmising, but I would say it was probably a culture shift which players didn't really like.
but also you've got to understand, like it's been a long time since it was them versus SGS in the
Mm.
Division 1 final. Like they've been at it a while, and like they've managed to like hold on because of Sterling. And let's be honest, they're gonna hold on again this year. Like unless they take a voluntary relegation, they're gonna be playing Prem football next year as well.
yeah,
So
that's fair.
and it's
Are
that
they?
case of Liverpool.
Oh
Yeah,
shit! Yeah.
yeah.
Like this is it, right? It's like
Well,
it's
this is
just
at what point does someone go? Let's just relegate both of them.
Well,
Like,
here's the thing. Even if they survive,
hang on. I want to touch on that point. I would argue that would be a case. However, in if that's the reasoning, then why wasn't Coventry relegated last year? Like I know that
no one was.
there were people moving. How? Yeah, but so 2 years ago they went 1-6-1, right? And then the year after that they went 0-8, and then Derby, who were also from the Midlands, whilst not Screen won. Why didn't they just go? Well, Derby's obviously decent. They made the final. They lost to Northumbria. Northumbria were obviously powerhouse Northumbria. Why didn't they say, okay, Coventry, let's just go down to
this is where we need Buxman SJ on the stream to explain the legalities of kicking two people out the Prem.
Yeah, that's why when two people go down, one of them is usually voluntary. It's
Yeah.
when you've got rules in place that state the bottom person goes down. It's quite hard to then turn around and go, actually, we're making the decision that two of you are going down. You got to think from the SU's perspective. That's basically less money coming into them, less games being played, and they go, why do we want that? No matter how bad we are, it looks worse if you're taking a relegation.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Like, what was it? UEA a couple of years ago.
Yeah, UEA took that voluntary relegation. I still don't know why they did it.
That
And now
was
they're still in
that was
D1 when they could have
bonkers.
still been in Prem.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Cardiff would have been in D1 Southwest, for a fairly long time ago. But
Yeah. I mean, either way, Newcastle go down next season when Northumbria go up. Yeah.
yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I'm not so much thinking there about who's going up. It's more so that I just don't have a clue in that northern bracket who's going to be going up because UClan are there. They could go up. Napier could go up. I don't think anyone from the Midlands is potentially going up. But
no, I don't think Notts Green's winning it all. I think they're more focused on gold at this point, especially now that they know that UWE aren't kind of infallible.
it's going to be it's going to be a good second half of the season. Like it sounds so cliche, but the playoffs is where the money is because we're going to get to see do these teams match up. Like I'm excited to see how Bournemouth match up for someone who's not in the Southwest because the Southwest is the Southwest and it just irritates me. So to be fair, like Not, I mean, unless I'm not seeing anything, then there's like no comments. So I was going to do a Q&A, but no one's.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but you'll
They're all
say that
boring
now,
this
and like
year.
32 QMBL players will jump out of the woodworks and go, "Why are you underrating QMBL?"
Well, I've told why. I know why. Because
Because
they
they're
may have
shit.
scored. Well, no, they're not shit. Like they have scored the most points in their league, but they are still 3-1, and that, you know, the scoring numbers matter, but that one next to the 3 is what matters most. Greenwich Imperial, I imagine, is that a comment? Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but Greenwich are always one of those teams that can just pull a win out and really, really ruin someone's day, and that's exactly what they've done there. I mean, it makes Greenwich versus Kingston a lot more interesting. I think I've got that right. In fact, I'm going to check, but you know, I think again, Greenwich are one of those teams where, like, years ago, they were, when they made the finals on their impromptu run, that was hilarious. They've played one more game though. Who has? Who has? Kingston Cougars. Is it Greenwich? I think it's Greenwich. Canterbury. Canterbury is Greenwich again. Yeah. How many teams are in Div 1 playoff? What is it? 8. It's 8. So it's the 2 top teams from every division and then 2 of the highest rated 3 seeds. Brighton versus Oxford. When is that? Is that this week? Be mad if it was. Yeah, we have discussed this slightly, but Brighton versus Oxford, it's a big game for both. I mean, Brighton can really prove themselves and shut. I mean, again, Brighton think that we hate them, but we don't. But they're just in a very, very tough div.
Have we got a Sport Tank live stream this week?
Yeah, we do.
Is it you or is it the
Me?
boss?
Yeah, it's me. No, it's me.
Who is it?
Well, we're going to get into that because there's 3 games this week.
Oh, sorry. Fair enough.
Do you not know the? Why don't you know how the show works?
Because the show's been a mess for about 6 weeks straight, Tabs.
Yeah, that's because we keep doing That's because we keep doing Q&As. The Q
Yeah,
and
but
A's.
imagine you could have little segments, you know. Tabs talk.
Okay, then give me a segment then, and I'll do a segment.
I've got no clue off the top of my head.
Right,
I'm not.
Jamie, have you got a segment you want to do?
Baffer news flash.
Oh yeah, we can get into a Baffer news flash.
The power of the news flash has turned his camera off.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah, I'm not. I'm
So
trying to get used to
powerful.
my new iPad and it doesn't work. It just stresses me out when I try and open new tabs.
So was it like Bruno had an interesting one in that they had a player rejected for doing gun fingers as his secondary unsportsmanlike, which I think is very funny. And then another one was
DMUs.
DMU. The DMU player. What was the official?
Deliberately and forcibly contacted an official.
There you go.
After a warning.
I say
After a warning, stay back.
I say in the States that's you get barred for life. There was that one video of that guy trucking that referee and he gone. But
then there's one about someone kicking a prone player in the head.
Oh, that happens every week though. I see that literally every week. How someone got kicked in the head. Yeah. You got the QMBL and the City guy both getting ejected for having a scrap with each other.
Yeah, I wonder who won that. Who won the scrap?
I don't know. Just says engaged with a fight where both players dragged the other to the ground by the face mask and refused to separate until multiple others intervened. It sounds like nobody won.
No, it sounds like nobody won, but it's better than punching someone in the face mask. That's all. That's like top tier stupidity in not just uniball, but in football in general. When someone gets punched in the helmet. Thoughts on the Northwestern 2? It's still anyone's game at this point. Looks like it. Edge Hill are looking pretty good, but then Lancaster and Staffordshire are still contending. I think
Keele could literally go to anyone.
It's like Keele are the only ones that are really looking not like a contender. It's going to be. I'm looking forward to see where that goes. I didn't realize how far up Lancaster was north. It's further than Preston. I can believe it. Is it?
Is it the last show before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we not doing mid-season awards? Like, come on, let's have a bit about us.
Fine, do it. Yeah, pre-season awards.
Pre-season, mid-season, mate.
No, mid-season. Okay, mid-season awards. So, how do you want to do them? Div 1, Div 2, Prem.
Yeah, categorise them.
Fine. awards. We're doing some awards. So Div 2 Team of the Year. I am going to put forth the Kingston Cougars. Boring pick. But I
I'm
did.
putting the Wolf Pack
Why?
because they're absolute bios.
You're not getting any merch. They ain't selling merch to your gaff, mate.
I'm still
Sending
waiting.
shit
I'm
to
still
you.
waiting. I'm still waiting.
Still waiting for the merch. Who are you putting forth? If you say Lincoln, I'm kicking you off the show.
Derby's not a bad shout. No, I'll change my pick to Derby. I do
It's
think that Derby are a good
it's
shout.
between Derby and Oxford Brooks to me.
Oxford Brooks is a very good shout as
I'm
well.
gonna lean at Oxford Brooks because they are
Yeah.
in a really, really tough division.
My reason for Kingston is because I really didn't have Kingston winning that div at all. I thought it was going to be Imperial. At least within like the bounds of the Southern Two. I thought OBU would do well and make the playoffs, but to go so far as to beat Surrey, they've got the division going into Christmas.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd beat Surrey, and it is a tough division. Surrey and Sussex.
Like
So,
OBU, I can understand OBU, but if you two want to go OBU, I'll give it to OBU. OBU are the Div 2 mid-season award winner. Div 1, right? I'm not hearing anything. It's the KCL regions. I'm giving it to KCL. You don't get to discuss with me. I'm on the train, or them or Napier, because I know
you've
you
been
can
on
say,
about 6 trains this season,
mate. I just love running a train. What can I say?
I'm going Brunel. I think this is their time.
I'm not going Brunel. I'm going Northumbria still.
Like, the thing is, like, you've got to look at Brunel now. It's a bit shaky.
Muddy
But
pitch though.
Disgusting pitch.
Midlands Div 2 by far the hardest relative to other Div 2s. Previously, I'd agree. Last year,
Not
definitely.
this year.
Not this
No,
year.
not.
All respect to all the teams there. There's only really 2 that can compete for it this year, and it's only 1 now. I would say,
like we said it last year that like the Midlands D2 last year was by far the hardest. But this year I wouldn't say so. Like it's derbies now. I'd argue that the Northwest is probably harder because you've got it's a 4-team div and 3 of them look pretty decent.
Yeah, that's definitely the most uncertain one.
But I'd argue like in the whole of it, it's the Southern 2. Like the Southern 2 is the hardest Division 2 div. Like okay, so who do you want to give it to Div 1? Because I'm going KCL because I had them in the middle of the pack, and then beating UEA and Kent is massive.
I'm sticking with Brunel.
You're saying team of the year, so you're going a mid-season team. So best one. I still think it's Northumbria, even with a loss to UClan. Lincoln walk Kingston Cougars like little puppies.
I just don't think that's true. I'm to the point in which I'm going to screenshot that comment because I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
That's an interesting opinion. That
I don't think that's true at all. I do not think that's true at all.
It's
Sorry,
a shame
Link.
the North and South in Div 2 never meet.
Oh, it'd be great. Who do you think, other than Napier, will go to the playoffs in the Scottish one? That's a good question. It's
top 3.
Top
3.
That is so up in the air. That is so up in the air. Like, you could hang your hat on Napier, but normally
Napier are doing well now, but you could fully see Napier not winning another game and Sterling taking it, or you could
Aberdeen
see
could
Napier winning everything, or you could see Heriot Watt fucking beating some teams. You could see the Mavericks coming and having a nice intake in January like they sometimes do. And honestly, that division is just wild. But I still stand by no one cares to Scotland.
No, they can't.
Could come back.
Who goes to the playoffs in the Southeast one? I think
hopefully none of them.
This is it though, because UCL beat Kent. It's now looking a little bit shaky, really, really, really shaky. But like speaking of the Southeast one, there's a big game this weekend which could hopefully galvanise that particular position in the Kent Falcons versus the UEA Pirates. Truthfully, I think the winner of that game is going to go with KCL. trying to think of someone else. Do you want to give a Prem team of the year?
Well, we didn't decide on a Div 1 team of the year.
Yes, because we all said. Well, I mean, okay, we'll put it forward then. Northumbria are good, but you know.
Do you think
Brunel
KCL would beat North? Do you think KCL would beat Northumbria?
No.
Well, there you go. So the KCL's out of the question.
But do you think Brunel could beat Northumbria? Potentially, yes.
Yeah, and that's a 50-50 toss-up.
Yeah.
So it's a question of which one do you think is more likely to win out of the two.
Weird watching the rundown at 11:56 a.m. in Vegas. Yeah, I forget the
Seahawks.
Seahawks are out in Vegas, but making everyone who isn't part of that particular squad very, very jealous. So instead, guess where I get? I get to go to Cleveland, Ohio, in a few weeks. Get in.
It's a question then of who wins, Brunel or Northumbria.
Yeah, but then that's the question of who wins the D1 championship.
Well, exactly.
I think Northumbria win it.
There you go then. So Northumbria.
Yeah, I think fine. Northumbria win it. Okay. In that case, then, in terms of, I'll give division winners. Okay, D2 Southern. Who's winning that championship? Who's winning that trophy?
Oxford. I think we were quite in agreement. Oxford Brooks.
No. I'm not talking about mid-season awards. I'm talking about the playoffs.
Oh, who would? Yeah, Oxford Brooks. I still think Oxford Brooks wins that Southern playoff.
I like Oxford Brooks, but I don't think they're going to win the. I don't think they're going to win the championship.
I think you're still shitting on them. I think.
Yeah.
No shit.
I
think
think
that win over Surrey.
Kingston Cougars.
It's Kingston. It's Kingston.
It's OBU.
Yeah, exactly, and they look good.
I tell you what, who's not going to win the Div 2 South trophy? Anyone from the Southwest.
Yeah.
Like Plymouth, Aberrant. No, they're not winning the trophy. They'll get, obviously one of them will get promoted. No, I'm sorry, I'm arguing Kingston's case. I think the final will be Kingston versus OBU. I do think that as it stands. But no, Kingston. What?
I still think you're outvoted there, though. I think Oxford Brooks has it.
It's not a vote. It's just an opinion. Right. Okay. The Northern. The Northern. Who wins that? Because there's a right answer, and it's Derby Braves.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine then. In the Prem, who have you got in the final?
Oh, what from the north? One from the north, one from the south.
No.
Oh yeah, shit. Prem works different, doesn't it? SGS and Nottingham Trent.
Jamie, what do you think? You think Leeds are going to have it?
I think I'm going bold. Leeds and Exeter.
Ooh.
You're talking bollocks.
That's an
and
ice
it's gonna cause a big kerfuffle because it's gonna be a clash of kits.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's SGS and Portsmouth. You guys are talking absolute nonsense.
No.
QMBL saying they're going to win the Div 2 trophy. No, I don't think you are.
No.
The reason they go to soccer is lame. All three of you need better backgrounds if you want your channel to grow.
Yeah, I'm in my attic, so I don't really have room for a better background.
Yeah, sorry that the shed got burnt down.
If you look at the YouTube ones, we just get some bots now because obviously the guy from what's it called? Usual Suspects commenting on this. Yeah.
Well, national. Who do you think wins the national?
Yui.
Yeah.
No, I'm going Notts. I've changed my tune. I'm falling off the Durham hype train. I think Notts.
Yeah, okay, I can't lie. I was actually quite disappointed with Durham. I was heavily on the Durham hype train.
Yeah,
but
up until this point, Jamie's right, where it's Durham get better as the season progresses. More so than any other team.
I think the change of OC is hitting them.
Yeah, they've looked weaker. I'm inclined to agree with Jamie. I think Nottingham are looking quite good. It's just a case of can they do it again? Vipers beat Kingston game 1 playoffs.
Yeah, completely wrong.
That's a terrible,
no.
terrible opinion.
No, mate. I was going to try and end this show at an hour. The Uwe Bullets have beaten the Nottingham Gold in more recently in Nottingham than Nottingham have beaten the Bullets in Nottingham. It's a single point. It's a 1 point. 1 point. And now you're both you're both holding your hat on the gold. I like the gold, but no.
It's a Jason Scott masterclass.
I
It's
just
been a
want
while
Jason Scott
since
to
he's been
love
in the
me.
news, and I think
Just
he's
want
like,
Jason.
it's been a while since he's been front row and centre, and I think he's taken a bit of time. He's reflected on himself, and he's back with a vengeance.
Exactly. He's had a hard look in the mirror.
I'm in for this QMBL versus
Not
Kings.
an opinion.
Just no. So there are 3 games happening this week.
Say you're benched for real for that.
Okay.
Interesting.
So obviously we're going to get
The
into
best
the
bit is
picks.
they're probably sat next to each other on the sofa. They're probably
Probably.
sat
Yeah,
in the
they
same
probably
house,
are.
watching it on the TV, sat next to each other.
Probably. So 3 games happening this week. I'd say there's only one that's got some implications. Kent versus UEA. Who have you got?
Kent.
I'm going to go UEA.
I think I'll go with UEA.
Yeah, I like the Pirates in this one. Kent losing to UCL. Shaky. Hertfordshire versus Reading. Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire.
And then Gloucestershire versus the UE Bullets 2s.
Ooh. The Pellets and Jadrian Clark to return.
And Jadrian Clark comes back for 1 game and 1 game only.
So both UE, yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine so. That'll be the game that I'll be doing because I was going to go to that game anyway. So, I mean, I think as episodes go, we've actually spoken about football quite a lot. If you look at the last 4 weeks, we haven't really done that. So
we spoke loads about football.
Yeah, but a lot of it's nonsense. We've actually given some good thought and analysis into the first
But
half.
I was tempted to, when we were doing awards, to start doing like funny social media and best social. But like, there hasn't even been anything funny this year. Like, it's just
Sheffield have done
there
okay.
is-
On the flip side.
No. There's been one piece of content which I think has led the team to unprecedented success, and that's the Edinburgh Napier Knights singing "Hot to Go."
Hot to Go.
Because it's like there's that meme of like the Giants have not is this record since the boat pitcher, but Edinburgh Napier, they're undefeated since Hot to Go. So simple as that. Napier win funnier social media. I don't know who's best social media, but might just give it to Bournemouth because otherwise they'll complain.
There hasn't been funny social, like, there hasn't been funny things this year. Like,
No, I don't know. Like Cardiff doing the not implosion thing.
the infiltration of the group chat's like the only really funny moment this year for me. But we don't dare mention that because they're all blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been funny moments in like the comment sections and stuff, but you're not really got anything else in there.
Well, I think funny social media probably goes to us for the comment section, and opening up the Instagram comment section and answering questions because that's been harrowing. But I mean, this is it. I mean, unless you got anything else you want to talk about, life.
Go and show everyone the shed.
Take one a shed tour.
I can't be bothered.
It's like MTV Cribs.
Two panels fell off
the Keith Lemon show through the keyhole.
Yeah, 2 panels fell off the
through
door.
the shed panel.
Through the shed panel, yeah. And now everything's getting wet, so
it's like a gypsy version of the show.
yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That's the show. That's Christmas.
So you couldn't even put the washing away in the background to try and make it at least some sort of presentable.
Everyone said it was one of the first comments on the stream is what's happened to your kitchen.
The worst part is that like I own 2 of these hoodies and the other one's just hanging up, so it just looks like I just rotate the same 2, which is pretty peak. But yeah, that's it. That's the show. This was the first half of the year. We'll be back at some point, but I think it's been a good half of the year for Uniball. I think we've had some exciting moments. We're going to have some more. Got a live stream this weekend, Gloucestershire versus the UE Bullets 2s. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the good stuff.
Happy Hanukkah.
Anything else? What? What? Right, goodbye. We'll see you later. Watch the stream on Sunday. There's no rundown next week. And it's my birthday, so I'm definitely not doing one. So disgusting. How old do you think I'll be? Take a guess.
27.
Well,
What about
he
you,
was at
Jamie?
uni for a good. He was at uni for a good 19 years. So I'm saying 29.
Wow. Well done, Jamie.
Ah,
God, I'm old. Goodbye. Watch the stream on Sunday. We'll be back in January. I don't know when the first fixture is.
60.
What? I'm not going to punch. I'm not going to punch the camera again.